Hey guys, long time no see. It has been crazy as usual over at Crazy Ink, in Writing World, and in Erin's regular world. So I thought I'd pop on and talk about a couple million things that are going on right now. Step one is that I have received the first vaccine and am going in to get the second one in 2 weeks, which is so awesome and so exciting and so light at the end of the tunnel here. I've literally been working remotely for a year now and I'm over it. I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate. But what this has done is I'm a person that always finds silver linings whenever things are just a little, not so good. And so I've thought about, what has the pandemic taught me? Like, what did I get out of this year of basically house arrest? And it's actually a ton of things, and I'm really kind of grateful about a lot of what I've learned. First of all, with Crazy Ink, I've learned who's invested and who isn't. I mean, let's just say it like it is. I had authors that I absolutely thought were committed and very much into writing and serious about the work, serious about Crazy Ink, serious about publishing, all of that. And I mean, I get it. I get that life is hard. I get that we're all struggling, but that's the key. We are all struggling, and I'm still there every day. And huge portion of my authors aren't. So the ones that are there, and some of them surprised me, they were people I didn't know were all that invested, are really invested, and mad props to them. And that's such a great thing for me to see, because it makes me know like where to put my energy. So that's been a great thing, to be able to see who is like all in. We have a list run right now, and I've got about 10 authors that every day, no matter what's going on in their world, not a single excuse, they show up, they're there, they do their job, and fingers crossed we hit that list, and those guys will absolutely know that they earn those letters. And that's awesome. So that's one great thing, is that I've people that I probably would have overlooked, and that's awful, really have stepped up when others that I thought were the ride or die types just fell off the planet. So step one, that's good. And I think it's kind of like friendship. You learn who your friends are when things are bad. Well, it's the same thing with the job. You learn who's serious about what they do or their passions when they have the discipline, or they find a way, in spite of everything, to stick around. Those are the people I admire. Those are the people I respect. Those are the people I want to be invested in. And that is who I'm invested in. So that's awesome. But it's taught me about myself too. And it's also said, yo, lighten up. Because I know that, I'm not immune. People think, oh, she publishes other people. She has 100 books. She's, this is easy for her. Yeah, I don't know what drugs you guys do, but I am equally human, I promise. And it's not easy for me. And I have struggled. I've struggled to write as much, release as often, promote as much, all the same struggles everyone's had during this. It gets hard to promote during a pandemic when most of the readers have disappeared off the planet, when Facebook, the major platform that at least I use, is making changes every day and I can't even figure out how to use it. And then on top of it, just the general world events. There's anxiety involved with living in uncertain times, and between political events, and you guys know, you don't need a recap, and probably aren't here for that. It's made me a little more humble. It's made me a little more, I can handle the excuses better than I used to. Let's put it that way. So it's kind of helped me be a little more patient. It's helped me to realize even you with 100 books are struggling, so be nice. And so I'm trying, but you know, there's a line when you run a business and people don't show up. You've got to eventually say, hey, you're fired. So that's where we are with that. As for my own writing, I have been, and I've talked about this before, really focused on my E.L. George stuff. And that's what I've been working on. And in the meantime, when I'm in the mood for more kind of researchy type things, I'm moving over to Circus Freaks, which is a huge book. It's almost 800 pages. And doing some cutting just because I do think it's too big. And then adding some historical. I want to get historical fiction into that because what's cool about that book is it literally touches every single genre, which I've never read a book that hits every genre, and I want to be the one to do it. I'm sure others have, but the one to do it that I know of, you know? So I've got to get historical fiction in there. I mean, it literally even has sci-fi in there, so I'm pretty proud of that. And it's a combination of the 6 books that I had in my Circus Freaks series, but a little different. Right now, this is exciting, I am off to get little library stuff back together. Once this vaccine has kicked in and my body's ready to roll, those libraries go back up. I am determined to get those out there. I may wait, like say a month or something. I just want to watch the numbers in the state, because the last thing I want to do is be responsible for other people getting sick just because it was done too soon. But we'll see how that plays out. At least I can start collecting books again, you know, and getting that going. It was literally in March when I started that and registered the first little library. And then, I don't even know, like 16 days later, it was like, whoa, this is not a good idea for the sake of public health. It's not a good idea for the sake of Erin's health, any of that. So I just had to put the kibosh on it. But I do have, gosh, probably a dozen boxes of donated books and 8 libraries registered, maybe 9, quite a few. So that's coming. I'm super excited about that. And you know, I'm glad I was able to like at least kind of stay connected to that. A lot of people have actually kept their libraries going. It just wasn't something I felt comfortable with, and I don't think there's any right or wrong answers, but for me it wasn't something I knew I could maintain during everything that's going on. So I just said, all right, let's push pause. But I think we're going to be back to that soon, so that's good. And then, you know, there's other things going on. Anybody that read Drumroll for Dallas, and I think that's, you know, probably 3 of you, but anybody that did knows that that book was actually written about a guy that travels the country and lives on the road in a converted van. And we can hashtag van life this video at this point, because as part of the research for that, I interviewed a bunch of people in the nomad/van life community. If you know about my writing, you know that I generally need real life to somehow attach to my books. Otherwise, they don't feel as meaningful to me. I think when you have a background as a therapist and your life's work and interest is on people and human behavior, it only makes sense that you'd want to do that. So I did a lot of research and interviewing for that, and a lot of YouTubing and a lot of everything for that, and actually met someone that has a fascinating story that I am actually going to be, we haven't decided whether I'm going to just write her story or whether I'm going to ghostwrite it as an autobiography. Either way is fine with me. I don't really care. I just want to write the story. And at this point, the byline doesn't matter. If I do write it under my name, it will be under E.L. George, because it is a true story. She is a, wow, fascinating woman. She's 64. She lives close to me in Massachusetts, which is nice. So that makes things easy. And lives in her vehicle. She has a disability, and when I say lives in her vehicle, I'm talking about lives in her car. And if you know New England and you know the weather out here, that is just brutal. Her life story and the things that she's been through and where she is now, and I don't want to, give too much away, are just wow. I don't know if any of you have watched the movie Nomadland, which I don't know how I feel about that movie, but I did, because I'm so into this at this point that I'm, all over these things. But it's very similar to that, only sadder. It's more sad than that movie, and I thought that movie was pretty sad. I also thought that movie was pretty inspirational, depending on the mood you're in, or your life experiences is how you're going to take that movie. But if you haven't watched it, I would recommend it. It's on Hulu. It's really a cool movie because it does have actual real life van lifers and people that live, out in Quartzsite, Arizona, doing their thing off the grid, in that movie as extras, and it's pretty fascinating. So anyways, I'm working on that, and I will talk to her next week, and we will kind of make the final plan for that book. But that's something that's taken up a lot of my time and interest, and I've got the nuts and bolts of this story, and have an interesting plan on how I'm going to market and promote this that will actually, I think it will go well. So that's book whip talk, I think. And again, as this winds up, I'm looking at a month before the vaccine kicks in and I'm really in a safe place to be moving around in the world again. But at that point, I've got career choices to make. Do I go back to therapy world? Do I work with at-risk kids? Do I go into grief counseling? Do I continue my job? I don't know how many of you have followed this, but I've been doing a ton of freelancing, and I don't know how, but I actually love it, and I financially am in a place where I'm easily able to support myself off of writing. And knowing that, there's a piece of me that says, well, why would you go back to therapy world? At the same time, when I don't feel like my work makes a difference in the world, I struggle with that, because the whole reason I got into therapy was to help people and change lives and make a difference and blah, 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 all that liberal stuff that most of my family probably thinks I'm an alien for, and why I'm convinced I'm adopted. But either way, that matters to me, and has since I went to Keene State. And I've talked about that before, that college literally changed my life with a simple archway that I could literally tattoo on my face and I would not regret it. And that saying is, enter to learn, go forth to serve. And I believe that. I think that when you have opportunities in life and you're able to, I don't want to get into a whole speech on privilege and all that, but I just think that it's a great thing when someone is able to take their education and use it to help people. And that matters to me more than writing, and that matters to me more than anything. That's who I am. So there's a part of me that feels like if I don't do therapy, I will feel a void, or I will feel like I'm not being my best me, living my best life. At the same time, I do know that there are ways I can use my writing to help people. So back and forth, we'll see. I can't say that I don't love the fact that I don't have to get dressed ever, literally. That as long as I got my hat on, nobody can see my gray hair, and I don't frankly really care, because I'm old. So, there's perks to not being forced to be out in the world, and I can't say I don't love them. I really do love them. With spring coming and not feeling as cooped up, I may come up with some sort of a hybrid plan where I'm doing remote work and I'm doing part-time work with therapy, and I'm kind of balancing, juggling, multi-genrering my life the way that I do my writing. Anyway, I've got more news coming soon. I am going to be taking a little trip, but I'm not ready to talk about that yet. And that trip is going to be tied to my books. I have not told anyone really about my plan, but it is happening as soon as it's safe to happen. So that's neat too. Thank you so much to all of our essential workers. It has been a long year. It has been horrific. The number of ways that people's lives have been shattered, ruined, hurt, permanently altered is, I don't even want to think about it. And it's like another reason why I feel like, yeah, the world needs mental health workers right now, dummy. But we'll see. But you guys have been out there and are true heroes. People always ask me, who's your hero? And I always say, I don't really have a hero. I do now, and it's those essential health workers that are still in those ICUs and working in hospitals with people that have a disease that could frankly kill them, kill the health worker. That takes guts, that takes balls, that takes heart. Wow, you guys are awesome. I can't really look at the camera or I will crash. It's clearly a gross, rainy, drizzly day today, so I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing. Anyway, guys, that's my thoughts. That's where I'm at a year into this.